These aren't just the best players Pep coached. That list would take 3 hours. These are the players who felt personally trusted by him, the ones who became extensions of Guardiola on the pitch. So today, as the Guardiola era at City comes to a close, we're looking at 8 players that were truly loved by Pep. Number 9. Phil Foden. You can tell how much Pep Guardiola loves Phil Foden just by how patient he was with him. From the moment Foden broke through at Manchester City, Pep protected him carefully. While fans kept demanding more minutes, Guardiola constantly repeated that Foden was a special talent and refused to rush his development. And eventually that patience paid off. Foden evolved from an academy prospect into one of City's most important attackers, capable of playing centrally, out wide or between the lines. Pep trusted him in massive games because of how well he understood City's positional play and pressing structure. Guardiola has called him the most talented player he has ever coached, which sounds ridiculous considering the names Pep has managed, but that's how highly he rates him. For Pep, Foden wasn't just another young star, he was the perfect modern City player. Technical, intelligent, versatile, and completely shaped by Guardiola's football ideas. Number 8. İlkay Gündoğan. There's a reason İlkay Gündoğan became one of Pep Guardiola's most trusted players. He was actually Pep's first signing at Manchester City, and over the years, Guardiola kept building important moments around him. What Pep loved most was Gündoğan's intelligence. He could control tempo, play through pressure, arrive late in the box, and understand positional play almost perfectly. Guardiola constantly praised his football IQ, once calling him one of the smartest players he had ever coached. And in big moments, Pep trusted him completely. When City won the treble in 2023, Gündoğan captained the side and scored twice in the FA Cup final against Manchester United. Throughout that final season, he kept stepping up with crucial goals during the title run-in. Even after Gündoğan left for FC Barcelona, Pep spoke about him with genuine emotion, admitting replacing his leadership and understanding of the game would be almost impossible. Number 7. Thiago Alcantara. There are very few players Pep Guardiola has gone out of his way for like Thiago Alcantara. In fact, when Pep left FC Barcelona for FC Bayern Munich, he reportedly told the club something very direct: either sign Thiago or don't sign anyone. That's how highly he rated him. And what makes it even more interesting is that Guardiola usually avoids signing players from his former clubs, but Thiago was the exception. Pep loved everything about his game: the press resistance, the ability to control tempo, the technical security in tight spaces. Thiago fit Guardiola's positional football almost perfectly. Under Pep at Bayern, he became the heartbeat of midfield, the player responsible for connecting everything together. Because for Guardiola, Thiago wasn't just talented, he was one of those rare players who saw football the same way that he did. Number 6. Philipp Lahm. Few players represented Pep Guardiola's football better than Philipp Lahm. When Pep arrived at FC Bayern Munich, Lahm was already one of the best fullbacks in the world, but Guardiola saw even more in him. Instead of keeping him fixed out wide, Pep moved Lahm into midfield at times, using his intelligence, positioning, and passing ability to control games centrally. It was one of the clearest examples of how much Guardiola trusted a player's football brain. Pep constantly praised Lahm publicly, once describing him as the most intelligent player he had ever coached. And honestly, it made sense. Lahm understood space, tempo, pressing triggers, basically everything Pep values in football. He became the perfect extension of Guardiola on the pitch, the kind of player who could translate complicated tactical ideas into something effortless. Number 5. Andre Iniesta. With Andre Iniesta, Pep Guardiola saw football at its purest. Iniesta wasn't about huge stats or flashy numbers. What Pep loved was his ability to control chaos. Tight spaces, pressure, impossible angles. Iniesta could solve all of it without ever looking rushed. During Guardiola's time at FC Barcelona, Iniesta became one of the central pieces of arguably the greatest midfield in football history. Pep constantly trusted him in the biggest matches because he knew Iniesta could dictate rhythm when games became emotional or frantic, and Guardiola's admiration for him was always very personal. Pep once described Iniesta as a player who made football better and said coaching him was a gift. That says a lot, because Pep has coached some of the greatest players ever, but very few seem to earn that level of emotional respect from him. Number 4. Rodri. At first, Rodri didn't fully look like a classic Pep Guardiola midfielder. He wasn't technical, he wasn't constantly dribbling through pressure, and early on, there were questions about whether he could truly replace Fernandinho at Manchester City. But once Pep trusted him completely, Rodri became untouchable. In fact, he totally forgot about Fernandinho and left him rotting on the bench. Guardiola built the balance of the entire team around Rodri. He became the controller in possession, the shield in transitions, and the player responsible for keeping City calm when games got chaotic. And Pep constantly praised him, calling him one of the best holding midfielders in the world and repeatedly talking about how intelligent he was positionally. Rodri was truly the beating heart of Manchester City's treble-winning campaign, making a staggering 56 appearances across all competitions in the 22-23 season. He sat at the very top of Pep Guardiola's squad for both tackles and duels won, anchoring the midfield in almost every crucial fixture. Number 3. Sergio Busquets. If there was ever a player who felt designed specifically for Pep Guardiola's football, it was Sergio Busquets. Pep promoted Busquets from Barcelona B almost immediately after becoming first-team manager, and within months, he was starting ahead of more experienced players in one of the greatest midfields ever assembled. That tells you everything about the trust Guardiola had in him. Busquets wasn't flashy, fast, or physically dominant, but Pep loved his intelligence, positioning, and ability to control matches without touching the ball 50 times. He became the anchor of that Barcelona side, the player who kept the entire system balanced. Guardiola famously said that when you watch the game, you don't see Busquets, but when you watch Busquets, you see the whole game. And honestly, that quote perfectly explains why Pep adored him. Number 2. Kevin De Bruyne. There's a reason Kevin De Bruyne became the face of Pep Guardiola's Manchester City era. Pep didn't just use De Bruyne, he unleashed him. Under Guardiola, De Bruyne evolved into one of the most complete midfielders football has seen, combining creativity, intensity, goals, and ridiculous passing range. Pep gave him the freedom to attack spaces aggressively, constantly building systems that maximized his crossing, through balls, and late runs. The numbers became absurd. Multiple 20-plus assist seasons, constant double digits for goals and assists, and a central role in City winning everything from Premier Leagues to the Champions League. But what really showed Pep's love was the way he spoke about him. Guardiola repeatedly called De Bruyne one of the best players in the world, and openly admitted there were games where City's entire attacking rhythm depended on him. Number 1. Lionel Messi. With Lionel Messi, it sometimes felt like Pep Guardiola wasn't coaching a player, he was building an entire football universe around him. During their time together at FC Barcelona, Messi produced some of the greatest numbers football has ever seen, scoring 211 goals in 219 games under Guardiola. And Pep constantly adjusted the system to maximize him. The most famous example was turning Messi into a false nine in 2009, a tactical move that completely changed modern football and helped Barcelona dominate Europe. But what really showed Pep's love for Messi was the freedom he gave him. Most managers want strict structure. Messi was the exception. Guardiola trusted him to drift, improvise, and break patterns because he knew genius couldn't be overcoached. Years later, Pep still talks about Messi differently from everyone else, often saying he's the best player he will ever see. And honestly, watching that Barcelona team, you could tell Pep wasn't just managing Messi, he was in awe of him too. And honestly, this list could have been way longer. Players like Xavi, Bernardo Silva, John Stones, Raheem Sterling, Thomas Muller, and Dani Alves all had special relationships with Pep in different ways. Some were tactical obsessions, some were trusted lieutenants, and some just understood football the same way he did. Well, that's all for this one. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe, and let me know. Which player do you think understood Pep's football better than anyone else?